Hello, I'm Giles Darling and I write novels, plays and non-fiction books. In this video I talk about endings, in particular the ending of a novel, script or screenplay, what it needs to do and how it can help increase book sales or viewer numbers. So let's get started. For most stories, the ending needs to wrap up the plot and any remaining subplots. Ideally, there should be no loose ends or unanswered questions when your story finishes, as otherwise the reader or viewer could feel cheated. An exception to this is if there's a sequel to the story. In this case, a remaining unanswered question or mystery can entice the audience to read or watch the sequel to find out the answer. The mystery could be a subplot that has bubbled along in the background throughout the story. For example, who is the shadowy person leaving clues for our hero to discover? Or it could arise in the last scene. For example, our hero answering the phone and saying, "I was expecting you, ... without revealing the identity of the caller, although be careful to avoid cliches. Your audience will need to read or watch the sequel to find out what happens next. Depending on the type of story, the ending often needs to show that the main character or characters have evolved and changed, either for the better, for example if it's a comedy or a drama, or for the worse if it's a tragedy. This can often be achieved as part of the ending by repeating a situation or a scene similar to one from the beginning of the story, but having our character react in a different way. If the character fails to change, this can leave the reader or viewer questioning the purpose of the story. An exception to this is a detective or a spy story with a central character whose purpose is to solve crimes or mysteries, typically one per book or per episode. Examples include Agatha Christie's Miss Marple and Hercule Poirot, or Ian Fleming's James Bond. While such characters can sometimes undergo a few changes, it's not always necessary because the primary reason that readers or viewers engage with these stories is to try and solve crimes and mysteries alongside the main character. In standalone stories, the ending typically needs to indicate that the remaining characters will have a life and a future after the story ends. For example, does the hero live happily ever after? Does the villain go to jail? Is the lost treasure ever found? Failure to do this could leave the reader or viewer feeling disengaged from the story. A character's possible future could be suggested, for example, with our hero expressing a desire as they head out into the world. Or it could be shown explicitly, for example by including a scene set a few weeks, months or years into the future. Alternatively, your story could end with a paragraph that just tells the reader what happens. Getting the balance right between suggesting, showing or telling what will happen will depend on your writing style and the type of story. How the audience feels when they finish reading your novel or watching your film or movie will often determine how they feel about your story overall. If your ending is downbeat, sad or depressing, that's probably how the audience will feel, even if the story contained funny or happy scenes. Similarly, a story with a feel-good, upbeat ending will be more likely to leave your audience feeling positive, even if the story contained earlier moments of tragedy or despair. If you're an unknown writer publishing a novel for the first time, this is important because readers will be more likely to recommend your book to their friends and more likely to want to seek out other books that you've written if the story has an upbeat ending. If your novel makes the reader feel depressed or downhearted, then this is less likely to happen. An exception to this is if your book is part of a sequence, for example a trilogy, where the evolution of your main character or characters spans multiple books. In this case, the first book still needs an upbeat ending so that the reader becomes emotionally connected to your main character and wants to read more about them. However, the second book should end on a downbeat because your reader now cares about this character and wants to read the third book to see how they overcome their difficulties and to discover what happens to them. The third book can end on an upbeat or a downbeat depending on whether the trilogy is a drama or a tragedy. A good example of this up-down-up three-part story is the original 3 Star Wars films from 1977, 1980 and 1983, with Luke Skywalker winning at the end of the first film, the evil Empire victorious by the end of the second film, and Luke Skywalker and his colleagues winning again at the end of the third film. Can you think of other examples of trilogies with up-down-up or up-down-down endings? Please leave your suggestions in this video's comments. Thank you for watching this video. To see me talk more about endings for your novel, script or screenplay and how they can help you write a better story, please watch my follow-up video. Please also check out the rest of my YouTube channel, especially where I discuss the various books that I've written. I hope my channel encourages you to buy my books and to read them if you haven't already done so. Finally, please feel free to leave comments below and to like and subscribe this video and my YouTube channel. Don't be a stranger.